For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation. Last episode, we got to hear from Jenny Gracia and Raiden Dionisio and spoke about their adventures. They also told us their stories and their passions. Thank you for being on, and keep us posted on your ventures in the future. Our guest for this episode is Paul Mackiewicz, and he's going to share his story through service and his passion. He will introduce you to the 0 moment of truth and keep you pumped. He's an Army veteran, an entrepreneur, and a speaker. So without further ado, let's get Paul on the show.
Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for volunteering to come on here and share some of your story.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. I always like meeting more people in our odd little our odd collection of veterans and especially veteran entrepreneurs. It's a cool, interesting bunch of people that are truly like some of my favorite people to be around. So I'm happy to do it.
You never meet the same story twice within that whole pool too, so it's pretty awesome.
Oh, I'm sure. I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier just to kind of get a feel for kind of the process and how you handle your interview style and everything, and I was digging it because it seems very free flowing, very simple, very much more conversational than some of these Q&As that I've spent 2 hours doing.
That's why I kind of just made up those questions I sent you just to give you an idea of what I'm looking for, so you can just free flow through it. Most times when I ask someone to tell me their story, I actually go through every question that's on my list without me even trying. So it's pretty, like you said, simple. I like to keep everything simple for both me and my guests.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in. So we started already, or what are we?
We can go right now. Yeah.
You got an intro you got to play, some ads you got to run.
That comes on later.
Nice.
So go ahead, and if you want to start, just start off your story from whatever point you want to through how you chose the Army and then where you are now.
Yeah, man, for sure. So first of all, my name is Paul Mackiewicz. I am the CEO and founder of #Smart Marketing. We are based out of Los Angeles, California. And basically what we do is manage the entire online presence for multiple professional service industries, mostly law firms, hospitals, CPAs, chiropractors. We do a little bit outside of that, but that's really our bread and butter, is just making people look really, really good online so that they get chosen more often when they're in those conversations. But as far as my story, originally I'm from Buffalo, New York, which if anybody that doesn't know, it's up by Niagara Falls. I grew up about 10, 15 minutes from the falls and spent pretty much my entire upbringing there. I went off to college and changed my major 4 times as a freshman. And so obviously I had no clue what it was I wanted to do. And I was working at Dick's Sporting Goods in the golf department, because golf's a bit of a passion of mine that I'm sure we'll get into at some point. But I was selling my Army recruiters some golf clubs, talking about having no idea what I want to do with my life. And 2 months later, I was on a plane heading for Fort Sill, Oklahoma, to start basic and AIT. When I finished up, I got stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana. Is not my duty station of choice, by any means. I like to laugh when I think about that wish list that they have you fill out, and I was putting everything in. I mean, I even put going up to Watertown, New York, which nobody wants to go up there. And I was like, worst case scenario, I'll be somewhat close to Buffalo. I can still have some semblance of normalcy. But obviously I put Colorado on it. I put anywhere overseas. I put Hawaii and Fort Polk, Louisiana was it. So the backwoods of Louisiana.
Yes.
I was there for all of maybe 2 months before I was deployed. And so it would have been end of March 2004. I took off for Iraq. And so I was with the 2nd ACR, Armored Cavalry Regiment out of Fort Polk. And I was a 13 Delta, which is a computer operator for field artillery. So basically, anybody that's not in the military industry that's listening to this, it's basically you have the scouts and the infantry out there. If they need something blown up, they call me, and I put it into a computer system. I judge for the drift of the round. I judge for precipitation, distance. I've got some no fire zones in my computer program. So I basically I'm making sure that we're not blowing up anything that we shouldn't be blowing up, and that our calls for fire are coming down as accurate as possible, as quick as possible. And so, from call time to first round taken off, could be anywhere from like 45 seconds to 2 minutes, which is pretty amazing to think about when we're firing these huge howitzer rounds, 6-7 miles downrange here at some enemy combatants. So I spent a while pretty much driving up from Kuwait into Baghdad and blowing up a whole lot of stuff on our way in. And then I was in Sadr City, which is in like the northeast corner of Baghdad. It's kind of the ghetto of Baghdad, right there at Camp Marlborough, which was an abandoned cigarette factory that we took over and made our compound. And was in Iraq for a little over a year. I got extended twice. The last one was interesting. I got all the way back to Kuwait with my unit, and then they said, well, we got one more convoy that's got to go back up to Marlborough and back. So, my entire unit left. I got to stick around for a little bit longer, me and a few other guys. So finished that up, came back to Fort Polk, and I knew early on that I wasn't re-enlisting. I enlisted in the military to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life and to get some college money. So when we got back, I informed them that I wasn't re-enlisting, and my unit was being moved up to Washington State. So the entire 2nd ACR, or actually, I guess about 3/4 of the 2nd ACR was getting moved up to Washington State. And since I wasn't going, I got to do Joint Readiness Training Force at the JRTC in Fort Polk and train the other soldiers that were getting ready to take off and head over to Iraq. So I grew as much of a beard as I could at 20 years old, wore a man dress and some Miles gear, and played laser tag for about the last year I was in the service, run around screaming with what Arabic I could remember, and trying to provide some real good training and preparation for these new soldiers that were taking off. So I guess after my military time, I moved to Atlanta. I became a golf pro for a few years. Greatest job in the world. Problem was I just, couldn't make shit for money doing it unless you're playing on Sundays. Being a golf pro really is not the most financially lucrative career you can choose. But it ended up paying off for me in a few ways down the road. I worked for Dick's Sporting Goods for a long time in their management and then business development. Eventually got burnt out on that, moved back to New York, ran a few people's businesses, went out to New Mexico, opened my own scooter rental company for a year. Then went back to New York City, got into digital marketing and sales and working with small businesses to manage their social media and get them good reviews and kind of build up their reputation online so that they had some resources, mostly restaurants, mom and pop businesses. And then I met my future wife, and we were both about ready to get out of New York City. Anybody that's lived there knows, about a year and a half, and it starts weighing on you. So about that 2-year mark, I got out, went to Miami, started working for a different digital marketing company and building processes, and got into the SEO and website design side more. My girlfriend at the time, wife now, she got her dream job out here in California, and luckily working in the digital marketing space, you can basically do it anywhere. So I came out here, opened up an office for that Miami-based company in California, and eventually decided it was time to stop making money for other people and go and start my own company. I always kind of had the itch between running other people's companies and my own scooter rental company, and some of these kind of skills and pieces that I picked up along the way. They all translated really well into developing my own digital marketing company and finding ways to differentiate ourselves and really do quality work. That's the problem with the marketing space, especially the digital marketing space, is there's a lot of shitty companies out there. So actually doing really quality work and being able to display ROI and being able to really take some of these, particularly like law firms and doctors, and take some of these businesses that didn't realize how important the internet was to their business, and show them an entire brand new revenue stream that is carrying their businesses now. So that's probably my favorite part of doing what I do, is just watching business owners. And I work with a ton of veteran owned businesses too, especially a few different veteran owned law firms, to just drag them out of the Stone Age and into the digital world here. And it's fantastic. I truly love what I do. I love the people that I work with. I love the results that we get for them. And I love the freedom and growth it's allowed me to experience, professionally and personally. So that's the quick version.
That's pretty good, though. Like I said before, you already knocked out 2 of the questions with one answer. That's pretty awesome. And I think it's awesome that your aha moment that happened naturally, basically, for you. It was a need based, and you already had learned a lot on the way to your where you are now. So in LA now, are you guys you work out of your house, or do you actually have a space that you use?
So we opened in October 2019, and initially I was like, well, I'll launch this from here. The months leading up to that, I'd been working with some developers to build out our dashboard and build out the actual company that I was going to launch. But so when we launched in October 2019, I started working with restaurants. And okay. So it was great until COVID hit, a few months later, and those restaurants, weren't a viable vertical for us anymore. And so that's when I transitioned more directly to the professional services side, because it was still operating industry for one, and also there's a huge need there. There's not a whole lot of good marketing companies over there that can, really build custom campaigns for people. So was working from home to start the company, and through the first few months of COVID. And anybody that knows anything about California, it's pretty crazy out here, in all honesty. The COVID situation was much worse, I feel, out here than it was in most of the country, especially considering having a lot of friends in New York City. Like, they went through it too. I think we experienced a little bit similar to them. I know you're out in Tennessee, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went out and visited some family in like South Carolina and North Carolina, and there's definitely restrictions, and people were taking it seriously, but not like California was. California literally closed everything. You couldn't do anything. In a lot of places, you still can't do anything out here. So I'm not a work from home person, and I saw it as temporary. And even just, I slugged through it the first few months of COVID, but eventually I was, I couldn't do it anymore. That's about when I got involved in Bunker Labs. I know that, you've got some affiliation with them as well. And I love that community and absolutely loved kind of growing my business with them. It's one of the reasons we grew so fast. And with Bunker Labs, I did a little research here and kind of found the right people to talk to, and eventually got a really nice discount at the WeWork that Bunker Labs LA should have been operating out of. But because of COVID, they, disbanded kind of that in-person part of the Bunker Labs program. And I basically slid right in and got myself a WeWork in June, July timeframe. So while everybody was moving out, I was the only one moving in. And so me and my, we don't have a real big team here, but me and my team, we slid in here. It's actually very nice. There's still not a whole lot of people here at Bunker Labs. I'm recording this from an office, and don't have to worry too much about surround sound or about some background noise, because there's just still not a whole lot of people here. So as far as working from home or office, I am not a work at home person. I'm definitely a work in the office type. And I think I'll always be that way. I can't imagine wanting to work from home. I get distracted too easily. There's too much there to do.
Squirrel.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am. I'm like, what? Oh, the kitchen's not clean. I got to get over there. I gotta. Maybe I'll clean the porch today. Let's do this. So.
Yeah, mine's my dogs. I wind up playing with them more when I'm actually working at home. So kind of takes down some of the productivity. But like you said, some people can do it, some people really can't, and they need that kind of structure of the office to keep them kind of focused, I guess would be a good word for it.
Yeah, I think a big part of owning your own business and all that is understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are. And I have an adorable dog. It's about 2 years old, and she's the sweetest thing ever. But she will come and sit right next to me, look up at me, whimper every once in a while, like, "You're home. Why aren't you playing with me?" And like, I just can't go through that day after day.
Right, all day long.
Yeah, it never stops. It really never stops. She's adorable. I love her to pieces, but no, she's got to get the hell away from me. Yeah, and it works out really, really well for us. Being up here, WeWork is actually they're for as much crap as we heard about them and their organization and everything. They have been absolutely fantastic to us as far as being a veteran-owned business and taking great care of us, and getting us some good discounts on what we do and additional services. So a little shout out to WeWork here as well.
Outstanding. I've seen them popping up everywhere. There's one in Nashville, I think. Of course, Bunker Labs, I think, used that too there before the musters got shut down here. So they are a good business model WeWork to help out, especially smaller businesses as they're growing. So if you don't mind, explain to the audience what the zero moment of truth is.
Yes, it's a great question. Great lead in. That's what I do most of my talks on. And the zero moment of truth, the best way to sum it up is marketing was always really like a 3-step process. It was awareness. So, people got to know, who you are. Then there was the shelf, or the actual like buying moment, which would be like the first moment of truth, where, you get to the grocery store, you look at all the different, boxes of cereal, and you're deciding which one you're taking home. And then you make that purchase, and that's when you get into that third stage, which was the experience. These Lucky Charms were amazing. I love them. I'll buy them again. Maybe these Cocoa Puffs suck. Never again. You make that determination at that point. And that's how marketing has always been seen. And then we got this amazing thing called the internet, which sprung up on us. And it really introduced an entire new stage in the marketing process, which is called the zero moment of truth. Now, I wish I could claim ownership for coining this term, but it was actually Google. They came out of the Google think tank back in right around 2010. They released quite a bit of content about it and kind of trainings on it, and but it didn't really pick up steam until recently, and COVID has just exacerbated this. I mean, everybody understands that they have to be online now. It actually makes my job so much easier. I don't have to talk to say a law firm again and say, like, you should have a Facebook page. Like they know it now at this point. Like, we've gotten to that point. But what the zero moment of truth is that's the comparison stage. That's why there's star ratings all over Amazon. Like when the internet first came out and people thought about Amazon, they didn't think e-commerce was really a thing, because how are you going to generate this much content about this many products and this, how are you going to build out all of this stuff and sell all these things? But one of the big keys to Amazon, and really Yelp and even Google, Facebook, was giving the users the ability to generate the content, and it overall benefiting the the platform. that you're on. So one of the biggest things Amazon did was having star ratings and making it you a bit able to rate and review the purchases that you have, and how they built out that system. That system directly impacts the zero moment of truth. It's that comparison moment. And now we saw it initially in the internet through products and like digital services and things like that. And now it has swung really hard into the direction of brick and mortar and professional services. Obviously restaurants, that's why we started with them first. They live and die by, their Yelp score, their Google business listing, their score, their Facebook, how much community that you're building around. So now if you think about how this marketing process is now, we still have like an awareness phase where, you got to learn about who a business is. And that could come in all sorts of forms. We don't really have those backyard barbecues anymore where we talk to each other and say, hey, like, do you have a good lawyer? All of that shit happens online. So the zero moment of truth is this comparison moment where I'm aware of your business, either through a Google search, or maybe I saw your billboard or I saw a print ad, and then I type you into Google, and everything that comes up and the emotional connection or the emotional response really that I have to what I find is impacting directly whether I'm going to choose you as, to stick with the law firm vein here, whether I'm going to choose you as my attorney or I'm going to choose somebody else. And where a lot of businesses get this wrong is they're often thinking about just awareness and conversion, but they're not taking that step to think about the comparison step, this huge zero moment of truth where I'm looking at 30 attorneys and I can see real quick how, hundreds of people feel about the experience they had with them. And so optimizing for the zero moment of truth comes in a few different ways. It's, building community around your brand on social media, because if I see a commercial for something and I look it up, like their Facebook page is probably going to be one of the first things that pops up, or, maybe their Instagram page. And then when I go to that page, if it looks good, if I'm seeing lots of comments, lots of likes, lots of followers, I immediately am going to think more positively about that business. If I, search for, to think even with voice search and how important that is and how that's starting to impact the zero moment of truth. I can say like, hey, Google, find me a law firm in the area, Alexa, order me, oh shit, Alexa's listening to me. Hang on. I forgot to turn her off as it's popping up. It's like, what? So yeah, I mean, even as voice search is coming along, I mean, this is more and more things that are impacting the zero moment of truth that businesses, honestly, 95 of them are not prepared for in any way. There's even one law firm that was spending about 80 grand a month on pay-per-click advertising, which is, I mean, awesome. Like spend that money. If it's generating business, spend that money. The problem was they were a 3.5 on Yelp and I think like a 3.7 on Google. So now I search personal injury attorney Los Angeles. I see their ad pop up. Right underneath it, I see their map listing, and then I see 4 other law firms that have better ratings and reviews than you do. So all that $80,000 did was basically pay for me to choose your competitor. And if people aren't paying attention to that and they're not like optimizing for that moment of comparison, then your marketing dollars as a whole is really being wasted and not doing a whole lot for you. So that's basically zero moment of truth is that first step that I take with clients of making sure that before we even get them in the conversation of whether, people should choose you as the attorney or not, it's making sure that when you are in that conversation that you're the top choice or you're at least one of the top few choices in it. Otherwise, again, it's wasted efforts.
Definitely. That's a great explanation of it. I think the audience will understand it a lot better than me just writing zero moment of truth in the byline of the podcast. You can play it much better than I did. That was one of my majors when I first started college was marketing, and I wound up in emergency management after that. After many years of thinking to go back to school. Yeah,
the marketing world is fun. It's crazy. It's a little bit of the wild, wild west still, and there are a lot of we'll say there are a lot of hoops you got to jump through. Like for one, like attorneys in Florida. I got a few clients in Florida, and a year ago, 2 years ago, I was running Facebook ads for them. Not like targeted ads, but general awareness, Coca-Cola advertising showing up in the newsfeed a few times type ads. And now the state bar of Florida requires all social media advertisements to be cleared by the state bar before they can be run. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So needless to say, I'm not running any social ads in Florida anymore. But that's like the type of stuff that you have to like deal with in being in the marketing world. So, you know, I certainly understand, because there's no barrier of entry. Like if you wanted to tomorrow, you could open your own marketing company and say, hey, we're marketers. You know, there's not really any, any certification, anything that you're really looking for. So one of the big reasons that I, jump 2 feet into this industry is just because there are so many bad marketing companies out there that aren't doing anything. And really the fact that we've never lost a client outside of restaurants who had to close during COVID. It really speaks to the fact that, if you know what you're doing, you look, light years better than any of these other marketing companies that have been out there, because, they're not paying attention to the trends. They're not, they're not students of the game, which, even being in your industry, I'm sure like there's a level of technical knowledge and a level of understanding, the new changes that are going on that, that most other people don't, but you actually get to go through like a certification for it. You can't just show up and do it. Whereas the marketing world, you can. So it's a very interesting industry to be in. But I think it's also the easiest of the industries to really differentiate yourself and show clients why you should be that choice, at that zero moment of truth.
I mean, just going to your #smart.com website, first thing you see is the brain moving around. That lured me, and I keep looking at it. I was looking at it for about an hour before I was doing my work. I'm just thinking the brain right now is locked in on this website. This is pretty cool. So it kind of
that's the real reason it's there. I just hypnotize people. In a few minutes, actually, the credit card prompt just pops up. You just enter your card and things.
That's your email address twice.
Yeah, great, good. I actually designed our own website. Like I enjoy website design. I enjoy the psychology behind it and like thinking about what people are experiencing as they're going through this. I don't do a whole lot of website design anymore because I have people to do that. And it's one of those things that, the time I need to invest into it to really, make it come out the way I want. It's just not beneficial to my business for me to spend that much time doing it anymore. But I do love when I get to a nice website and, it's an experience if it's done well. And I think that's really important. I think that's the direction website's going to continue to go is, more interactive, more, more of an engrossing experience. And, people have to kind of realize that like the cookie cutter stuff of the internet past is not going to last that much longer. Between machine learning, between voice search, between, all these brand new platforms or programs that people can use. I mean, if you're not ready to change and adapt and adjust and, pull it back to kind of like the military side of things, I think that's one of the biggest things I learned in the military is, you adapt and overcome every day. There is no failure. There is no, I didn't get it done. It's, yes, sir. Done. I'll get it done right now. So
just keep pushing forward at all times. You never accept defeat. And that's what I think you hit the nail on the head all with everything you're doing right now. It's awesome.
I really appreciate it, man. We work hard up here. I think that's one of the biggest calling cards that we have. You call us at 9:00 at night. Chances are we're going to answer. If not, myself or my team will be texting you back, letting you know, hey, what do you need? Finding some way to always keep that line of communication open and always be available for our clients. Because if you're not, if your clients aren't your main focus as a business owner today, especially in the marketing space, you're doing it wrong. Period.
Right. And like with my job, we have a policy that we don't say no to any of the client. I work on base, so anytime a soldier comes in and asks for something, no matter how off the wall it is that they want to get trained on, we say yes, just to keep them engaged with us and keep us employed, basically. So I understand that fully. Yeah,
and it's a level of customer service too, which there's so many options out there for marketing companies. There's so many options for just about anything. You could Google car mechanic in my area and probably get like 15 options. What's going to be that reason that I decide on one over another? Me personally, I look for a lot of veteran owned businesses to work with. My website designer is a former vet himself. One of my sales guys is a vet. So it's I think that the psychology behind buying is really making some big changes right now, and the technology is the thing that's pushing that forward. It's great. It's great to just live in this exciting world right now of chaos and technology and just constant exponential growth at every turn that you're looking at. Things are going crazy in our world right now, and it's fantastic in so many ways.
Yeah, it's just like you said, if you can adapt change, the world right now is amazing. The positive things going on in the world are amazing and makes everything awesome. Technology, AI with drones and everything like that going on, it's just outstanding to see how technology is moved way beyond where it was when I was starting in the military. Even when I ended the military in 2015, it's things in the military have grown exponentially in that time technologically. And I just love watching how it happens with everything, both on the civilian sector and military sector.
That might be fun to just head back to a military base and watch how things have changed. Because when I was in, I was in for 02 to 05. So, was that right? Oh yeah, 02 to 05. So you're doing the math in my head now, having to think. But some of the technology that we were using at that time, especially considering I was a computer operator. My computer was probably older than I was. I'm quite sure it was older than I was. Yeah. So I would love to, jump into a Paladin nowadays and take a look at the systems that are in there. And because basically what I did was completely phased out not too long after I got out, because things went to the Paladins as opposed to the towable howitzers. So I might have to set that up. I might have to go and see what contacts I still have, just to get on a base again. Go check it out.
They just drive down the road to NTC and check some stuff out.
I could.
Yeah, I have a partner out there. I can hook you
up. That's what I'm talking about. See, that's what this network's about. That's what these podcasts are about, right? you hook me up so I can go blow some shit up again.
At least see it happen.
Yeah, man. And,
all right, so are there any other veteran organizations besides Bunker Labs that you've worked with or been able to help you out as you started the growth?
Yeah, one of the ones I'd love to give a little shout out to is Veterati, which is Veterati's awesome. Yeah. I've dipped into that network a few times, and I think I'm about to transition in it a little bit to more being on the mentor side as opposed to the mentee side. When I was on the mentee side, it was mostly. I'm always looking for inspiration. I'm always looking for ideas. I'm a pretty avid reader, whether sometimes it's physical books, most of it's Audible. A lot about business books, and I guess I would want to plug this out there too. Not that it's a veteran resource, but some of the best books that I have found as far as really helping me wrap my head around all of the different aspects of entrepreneurship is the series by Mike Mackiewicz is the guy's name, and he wrote some books called The Pumpkin Plan and Profit First and Clockwork and Fix This Next. But it's really nice that you can actually grow through his series, and Pumpkin Plan's about starting the business, and Profit First is the financial side, and Fix This Next is about systems, and so it's kind of an all-encompassing kind of group. But actually I got hooked onto the Mike Mackiewicz stuff from somebody at Veterati who said, hey, you're starting your business. I find this is a great resource. Pass that resource on to me. And I would definitely recommend it to everybody else that's out there thinking about that entrepreneurship side. I am a member of the American Legion. Don't go too often, but same with the VFW out here in Hollywood, which is, I didn't even realize, I think it's the oldest VFW that there is, maybe, or maybe it's some.
I think that's either the oldest or second oldest.
Yeah, something along those lines. And they were doing some really cool stuff over COVID since all the movie theaters closed down and we were in Hollywood, California. They were showing movies on a sidewall. Yeah, so that was really
nice.
cool. You could pull up in your car and watch the movies. So they were doing some really, really cool stuff. Obviously, Bunker Labs is an amazing community that I would highly recommend any veteran entrepreneur to look into and to get involved in. Outside of that, that might be it right now. But I also, in complete transparency, I didn't have the greatest military experience on my separation. Like I got out and I started going to school, and based off of like what my Army contract said for like my Army college fund and my GI Bill and all that, like I was ballparking that I'd have, right around like 65-ish grand for college. And I got my first reimbursement check from from the VA, and it was about half of what I expected it to be. Yeah. So immediately, obviously, I called them up and I was like, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, did you guys only pay me for half the month there?" And I'll never forget this sweet Southern woman's voice. And I was living in Atlanta at the time, and she was like, "You know what, soldier? I'm sorry, you're not the first one that I've told, and you won't be the last. But you're misled by your military contract, and your Army College Fund total is actually the combination between GI Bill and Army College Fund." And so obviously, I went off on her. I went off on few other members of the military that had some metal on their shoulder. I was out. I didn't care anymore. But after fighting it for about 5 years, eventually an allotment of money was added into the defense budget for that year to cover people who had contracts similar to me. And so after fighting it for so long, the military basically just cut me a check for it. Actually ended up being DFAS, because DFAS was like, well, we can't release the money unless the VA tells us. And the VA is like, we don't have money because DFAS hasn't a lot awarded to. And so they're just sending me back and forth. But eventually I finally get a letter that's like, hey, you know what? We're sorry. You were right. We added this money into the defense budget to cover people under your situation. Here's a check for $28,000. And I was like, well, so it took a while. It took like 5 years. I left that school and went to a different school, and it definitely set my career back a little bit. But between that and dealing with the VA hospitals and things like that, I didn't have a real positive experience or positive feeling even going forward. And it wasn't until the last about 2 years that I really started opening myself up to the opportunity of networking with my veterans and reaching out to some of my old battle buddies and getting involved in that community a bit more. So I've leaned into it a lot now, between Veterati, Bunker Labs, American Legions, VFWs, and there's also one more too. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, which is the we work out together over like a Zoom meeting every Wednesday. I can't think of. Say that again? No,
Team
it's
Red,
not
White, Blue.
Team Red, White, Blue. It's something MVP. I don't remember what the. I'm gonna have to find it and shoot it over to you now, because it's probably in like my personal email inbox. This is excellent entertainment of me checking my emails now, looking for the name. The name of this group. Let's see. Here we go. It is the Vets and Players. Denver Morris at I'm part of the MVP West Coast, which is the Vets and Players. It is basically military veterans and professional athletes, and you do some cool stuff with them. I've signed up to play in some golf tournaments with them, and I've signed up to play with they've got like kind of golf leagues, and they do workouts together and things like that. But it's the Vets and Players. I believe it's just vetsandplayers.org, but let me check it for you here real quick. And this was Merging Vets and Players, MVP. Very cool little program, and it's run by that guy who's on Jay Glazer, that's his name. It's run by Jay Glazer is one of the big people that is in a big part of running it, and it's just very cool. Anything from I know they did like a Lego Masters like gift set for veterans that Will Arnett was at. That's my guilty pleasure TV show is Lego Masters. I like building shit.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, MVP, very, very cool organization. But yeah, with the last 2 years, I've just been finally starting to get involved in this community, and I regret not getting more involved earlier, and really, getting to spend time with people that understand some of the craziness that you went through, in your late teens, early 20s, and come together for some good causes.
And so, like, you got out in 2005-ish, and I got out in 2015. So by the time I got out, you were really pushed. Basically, you had to go to the VA basically to clear. So they knew that you were going through the process correctly to get everything done. After I got out, they were doing it on base, doing the VA. So transition your heartburn with them to get you squared away. And going all the way back to Vietnam, the Vietnam vets, they went through a lot more than either of us have went through with their term and their transition. But their hard work has laid the groundwork for you, and then, of course, for me later. And now the soldiers and sailors and Marines getting out now, it's getting, I guess I wouldn't say exponentially, but a lot better than it was. And each brick that they knock down to make it easier is better for everyone.
Yeah, I literally don't have any ill will towards the military or anything that they're doing now. I think that, kind of with everything in the government, there's just a lot of, red tape. There's a lot of kind of unnecessary hoops you got to jump through, we'll say. But I also think that they're figuring it out.
Yes.
They're a modern organization just like any other. And, it may take a little bit longer, but they're, I know that the overall feeling towards soldiers, I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like being like a Vietnam vet and coming home and people not being supportive of your service and what you do. I think there's still a lot of room to grow. I do think that our veterans are really, we're getting the acknowledgments and it feels good. It honestly, I think that's probably one of the things that brought me back into the community too, was being like, you know what, we did do something really important. We really did, the work we did made the lives of countless people much better. It's not always a bad thing. And that was something I truly had a hard time wrapping my head around for a while.
Well, there's a lot of veterans that had that same thing. Once they closed the door in that chapter, they really closed the door, and they didn't want to think about it until they ran into someone that they actually served with later down the line. Maybe they met them for a beer or something. And they started talking like they never left that door before. And all of a sudden that door was wide open, and now they're celebrating it, and it's spread throughout the community, the tribes that are all throughout the country now.
Yeah, man. No, you're right. This feels like a therapy session. Like what's yeah, you could just invoice me. Just shoot it over. Let me know what I owe you.
Right. So if you can give advice to an aspiring transition veteran or even a spouse that's right alongside their serving spouse right now, if they wanted to start a business, what would that be?
First and foremost, I would say get involved with Bunker Labs, because one of the things that surprised me about that was how it really catered to all levels of business. By the time I got involved, we were already, doing pretty well and growing pretty fast. And it felt really nice to be able to help some of these guys that were literally just starting out. I got involved in the program after our company had been open for probably about 8 months or so. But I had been running businesses. I had been running digital marketing campaigns. I'd been, executive level in other digital marketing companies. So I had a lot of knowledge coming into what I was doing. And a lot of these people that are involved in the program, they don't. They have a passion. They know that they want to do something, but they really need the guidance in it. And with the Bunker Labs, I grew so much, not only in finding some good mentors and some good opportunities, but actually in helping others. They say the best way to learn something is to teach somebody else it. I feel like I got better at what I do just by helping others, really wrap their head around what it's like to run a business now with digital marketing and how beneficial it can be, and kind of the vast amount of opportunity that's out there in the digital world. So that would be my first thing I would say is get involved in your veteran community for it, because there's so many good resources out there. The next thing I would say is, man, like, educate yourself, not only on what you do, but on how you're going to turn it into, 100 locations. One of the biggest things I've seen with entrepreneurs is, and especially veteran entrepreneurs, because, those veterans were much more likely to be entrepreneurs than your average person. So, and I feel like a lot of military veterans fall into that because, we, I don't know, maybe it's because we're a little crazy. Maybe it's because we're willing to take risks. Maybe it's because we're, I think it's probably because we're all a little out there a little bit. We're maybe not all there. But with that, I saw through the Bunker Labs community a lot of people that had a passion about something and they wanted to, build their career around it, and doing that through opening their own business. But then they were bottlenecking themselves, and they were really limiting themselves to the amount of work that they could get done in a day. And as an entrepreneur, not just being as a veteran entrepreneur, but I'd say as being an entrepreneur in general, your business will never grow if you're doing all the work. And the only way to really grow to the level where you can start like bringing in people and hiring people is, get a few clients under your belt, get a few steady orders going on to the level that you can handle. And I'm a huge advocate for virtual assistants. I use a few of them, and they're really not very expensive. You can hire virtual assistants for maybe like $500, $600 a month, and just have them do some like the little minutia BS that you got to do. Find the right people that you can build the system and hand that system off to someone. And that, I think, is the key to growing your business as an entrepreneur, is building systems and handing them off to people and training them to do that system how you would want to do it. Because again, if you're working in your business, you're not working on your business. And that's the biggest growth stifler. I don't know if that's a word, stifler. That's the biggest thing I see stifle growth for business owners out there.
That's great advice. Both points are great advice there. And I hope people heed the advice that they're getting from all my guests that I've had since I posted on the Bunker Labs. Everyone's given some pretty good tidbits of advice, and yours is spot on with what they need to do to be successful. Well, Paul, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day in sunny California to be with me. Is anything if you want to put out your links? I have your links. I'm going to put them on the site when I publish the show. If you want to put them out now or give a shout out to anyone.
Yeah, we'll throw my links out there. Our website, the best way to get to our website, you can actually go to ZMOT Expert, and it'll redirect you right over to our website. And that's just ZMOTEXPERT.com, ZMOT Expert. Will get you to us. If you see a giant floating brain, you're in the right place. Our Instagram, I'm pretty active over on Instagram. And that's just the word #smart marketing. So that's our handle over there. We're obviously on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. I'm usually on LinkedIn a decent bit, so you can always find me over there. It's Paul Mackiewicz, MACKIEWICZ. Should I go phonetic on that? I like throwing it out there for clients every once in a while. I know, I'd have to like pull it all back now. That's Mike Alpha Charlie Kilo India Echo Whiskey India Charlie Zulu. There you go. Still got it. If there's anywhere else to connect with me, Instagram is honestly, that's probably the first place I'll see it. So if you hit us up, #smart marketing on Instagram,
okay,
that'll get to me quick. But I'm also on LinkedIn a decent bit too. Awesome. I got one last thing here. Go Buffalo Bills. Go Bills.
Ah, you got the whiskey today, so you're gonna move
Yeah,
up
man.
in
I
line.
could talk about football all day. That's the other types of podcasts that I end up doing every once in a while. Let's talk about football.
Let's do another show. Once the draft goes, we can
Yeah,
get on
sounds good,
together
man.
again and
Sounds
talk about that. And if you have anyone you think that would be good on the show, just send them my
sounds
way.
good,
I'll
man.
get
I
them
got
right
a nice little mastermind group that I'm always bringing these types of things to. So I'll be sure.
Awesome. And I appreciate it. Well, like
Thanks,
I said,
you
it's
too,
great
man.
having
Bye.
you, and have a great day.
Well, that is another great episode. Paul, it was great chatting with you and giving us a chance to learn about your story and, of course, your passion. We appreciate you for taking the time to come on and share your story. As always, thanks for taking some of your time to spend with us on the Misfit Nation. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and share the link as much as possible. We appreciate you. Till next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. We are the Misfit Nation.